Hello, welcome to another episode of The Road Ahead Senior Living. I'm Jacqueline Proctor, Deputy Commissioner at the Bureau of Senior Services. It is truly my pleasure to be with you here today. I don't get a chance to do that often since this is normally where the Commissioner sits, but I'm always thrilled to sub. So, even though you won't see this program until a bit later, I want to wish everyone there a happy West Virginia Day. I hope you have lots of plans to celebrate it, whether it's just to relax or maybe to do some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So I'm also very pleased to introduce to you Jesse Anderson. He is District Parks Manager for the Department of Natural Resources for West Virginia, and we're just going to talk about and touch on a bunch of different things that may be of interest to you to do as a solo event, with your family, with your grandchildren, whatever, floats your boat, as they say. But a lot of activities, since we are now in the warmer months and we can plan ahead. I wanted Mr. Anderson to come by and give us a few ideas about what to do. So welcome, Jesse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here, Jacqueline.
You're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome. Let's just start off in a broad sense. There are so many activities, especially from the natural resources viewpoint: fishing, hunting. I almost said swimming, but that's a general.
Swimming counts.
Okay. Trail walking, hiking, that sort of thing. You tell me, where shall we start, or where would you like to start with regards to some interesting activities for our seniors?
Well, activities outdoors are pretty broad, and that's an easy thing to do. If you want to be active outdoors, you open your door and you go outside. Hunting, fishing, swimming, walking, technically could all be considered outdoor activities.
Yes.
Now, in my expertise, my field of expertise, I've worked in West Virginia State Parks for over 25 years now, so I'm a bit biased. When I think of the outdoors, I think of our state parks that have been set aside for those kind of purposes specifically. But most of those things can be done. People think of a hike as, climbing a mountain, breaking a sweat, getting a workout, bringing your water, an extra lunch. But hiking doesn't have to be a very strenuous activity if you don't want it to be. Mm-hmm. My wife and I, we walk regularly. We go out our door, we go down the road, we walk through somebody's field, or we go down to the Greenbrier River Trail and walk nice. As far as we want to, and then we turn around and walk back. We've also gone with young kids, and we've taken them up on the top of a mountain, which was strenuous, a bit stressful. So being outdoors, moving outdoors, it can be tailored to exactly what the person needs. There's no limitation.
You have touched on so many different good hotspots in terms of our seniors. Getting exercise, getting outdoors, getting fresh air, something as simple as walking and hiking. I know that there are places where during different parts of the season you can see wildflowers blossoming. You can find indigenous plants that are specific to West Virginia for identification purposes. They're actually people who lead those groups. And they are not demanding. They're usually on flat surfaces, right? And they can be accessed by almost anyone, from someone who can walk to someone in a wheelchair. Am I right?
Yes. In our state parks, we've got several ADA accessible trails. And you mentioned having things that are tailored to folks that's strenuous. And through the summer, many of our state parks have summer naturalists, and they have a weekly program. I did it myself. I started in 1996. I was at Greenbrier State Forest as their summer naturalist, and we did three programs a day, and we varied it. We usually had a challenging program in the week, but most of them are tailored for folks that are looking for that experience and maybe aren't that confident in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. And for those folks that want to be outdoors but don't think they're outdoors folks, it can be done by anyone, and we all go to Walmart or Kroger, so we're outdoors.
That's true.
Yeah, you can go to a summer naturalist program whether it's a tree hike or a bird walk, and they're generally tailored to the general public, because what we want is to expose those folks to that outdoor experience that they would like to have, but maybe they don't have the confidence. Interpretation is just giving people just enough information to pique that curiosity and want them to come back for more. So when you come to a summer naturalist program, the thought is that when you leave, you think, oh wow, I didn't know this, or I wonder about that. And they go home, get on the internet, or I don't know if people have encyclopedias, but you bring out your resource and you find out a little bit more. And that kind of builds that confidence slowly to go back out and try that again. Maybe on your own, but maybe with another guided group.
Right.
And those possibilities are out there.
You are just tailoring this program perfectly today. That also, you mentioned going back home and looking something up, that connects to ongoing learning, extended learning. Even though you're an adult and a senior adult, you don't have to go to college to find this, that, or the other. You don't have to sit in a classroom. In fact, it's way better, in my opinion, that you get outdoors and you explore what your interests are. So you're absolutely right. I know at my home we have a bird feeder, and I'm constantly fascinated by the different types of birds that come by and have a little snack on me, and it's really great. And I'm pretty stationary, but I also like to go out and walk quite a bit and do a little climbing. I'm not into scaling. I'm not quite that professional, but yeah, we can do that too. So along with walking, and being with a summer naturalist, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I'd not heard of that specific program before, so that's something our audience members can look up later after they see the show. What other things would you suggest that an individual, a senior in particular, would look for on the website or what have you that they think they can do?
Well, on our West Virginia State Park website, we've actually there's a tab that says things to do. We'll make it very easy to find. And in the things to do tab, the menu drops down and you can choose from many different activities on there. I mean, you've got different sporting activities, whether that be golf. And golf is not the same as it used to be. We have actually, in our state parks, we have golf, traditional golf, fling golf, which is done with a stick, which I would encourage anybody to try.
That's new to me.
It is very new. Fling golf is a new thing. They're teaching that in some parks, some of our programs to expose people to that. And disc golf or frisbee golf, which is all the rage now. And we've got several disc golf courses across the state park system and across the state. A lot of municipalities are putting those in as well. And you don't have to be good at it. A lot of people think, oh, but I'll embarrass myself. I have freely embarrassed myself playing disc golf with my children. And their friends come and they're better than me, but anybody can throw that frisbee. And if it doesn't go 100 feet, if it only goes 20 feet, that's fine.
It takes practice.
It takes practice, and you're outside. And while you're there, you get to see flowers. And most of these places are outdoors. It's a natural area. You'll see wildlife while you're out there. Some of the wildlife is throwing a frisbee or disc golf as well, but you have an excellent opportunity to see a deer come through, chipmunks and squirrels and birds come to see what's going on. So I would encourage folks that have not tried frisbee golf or disc golf.
At least not at first. Try something else.
Golf in its traditional sense is still very popular, and that's something that can be played by people of all ages as well.
Yeah, we have great golf courses around the state. I mean, Greenbrier is a centerpiece, that's true, but we have great golf courses that are public or minimal fees, I think.
Yeah, it's very affordable in our state parks and a lot of municipalities.
That's wonderful. Oh, okay, I'm ready to do some things. Last week, I was in Kaiser in Mineral County, and there the Senior Center has an annual event called the Mountain State Senior Olympics. So they do have it every year, and seniors from various senior centers across the state come and compete in different things. Everything from cornhole to football toss to disc golf throwing, ball throwing, and archery, as a matter of fact. So I think that there is a population of seniors, and you don't discount them because I think our youngest was 57 and our oldest was 92, and they were all willing to give it a shot. So while we're tailoring this program to focus on things that seniors can do a lot. We have our younger seniors, our sort of middle road seniors and then our older, very esteemed seniors, and they're still interested in being outdoors.
Oh yeah, experienced guests are what I have come in contact with over the years. And the more experienced the guest is, the more information they have to share to people. And that's another good reason for folks to get outside. Try a new activity as an experienced person, and you'll come across younger folks. And when you interact, you know, if you're always hanging around folks that are like yourself, you tend to think a certain way. But by putting yourself in a situation where you're being active, and you interact with other folks, you can exchange ideas, you can compare experiences in life.
True.
And younger folks, less experienced folks, always benefit from that interaction. I've always valued folks that were my elders or more experienced than me, and getting outdoors helps you to promote those experiences. It's not just the activity.
Right.
There's always
there are other elements
there's
to
a personal
it.
element
Yes.
involved in it. Yeah, there's social elements that people don't anticipate, but they happen when they're out there.
That's another one of our favorite phrases or thoughts in Bureau of Senior Services, and that is because we live in such a big, spread out state, a mountainous state, it's easy to be isolated from folks, depending on where your home is. You know, sometimes you go a mile off the interstate and you're in the country. So being social, running into people, meeting people, starting conversations, which is very much the West Virginia way, you know, saying hi and then what you doing and that sort of thing, really alleviates that isolation and makes connections with people. So you're very spot on about that.
Yeah. A good example of that, this is more of a sporting activity, but it is outdoors. Pickleball is all the rage now. I don't know if you've had a chance to play yet.
No, I haven't, but I will.
I'm not a tennis player. I'm very, very bad at tennis. And my son would say I'm not a very good pickleball player. But it is
tough crowd at your house.
It's a tough crowd, very competitive. But it's something that almost anybody can do. It's easy to pick up, and it's easy to learn how to play. Becoming competitive at pickleball may be a different thing, but that's also a very social sport. And what I've noticed when I go with my kids is you've got the young kids that are in high school and just out of high school playing pickleball, and then you've got retired folks that are playing pickleball right next door to them. And that interaction, that's a very good place to have that interaction where people compare. It's almost
Technique
a cultural difference, you know,
styles.
the generational differences.
Right.
Yeah. And the young folks are giving tips to the older folks, and it goes both ways. The older folks tell the young folks quit running around so much, to be smart with their energy.
That's right.
So there's a lot of
Seniors know how to conserve their energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
play smart, not hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up pickleball because several of our senior centers have included pickleball as an activity when folks come to the center, and the same senior center in Mineral County in Kaiser actually had a grand opening of their newest senior center last year, and it has 2 pickleball courts on it, and those folks they're out there to win. They're not out there messing around. Even if their form isn't that great, they're out there to win.
Yeah, there's some highly competitive players out there. Now, other things, if folks are looking for an outdoors experience where they're more nature oriented, we've been showing some pictures on here. There's traditional outdoor activities like hunting and fishing.
Yes.
They're available throughout the state. West Virginia's known for all the abundance of hunting and fishing opportunities on our wildlife management areas, all the waterways in our state. And fishing, a lot of folks think of, you know, a river runs through it. They have to have their fly pole, and they have to do traditional fishing with hand-tied flies, and that is out there. Those opportunities are out there, and it is a very nice way to spend a morning. But fishing can also be a simple affair too. It could be taking a grandchild out and putting a worm on a hook with a bobber and just throwing it into a little still pond of water.
And wait to see what happens.
Some of my early memories are of my grandfather, who was not a fisherman. We must say you don't have to be steeped in lore to participate in these activities. I'm going to keep repeating that theme. This is for anyone.
Yes.
But he would take me to down to a small impoundment, a reservoir, and he would put a hook a worm on the hook and a bobber, and we would throw it in there, and we would catch a bluegill or two, which to a fisherman who pursues that with kind of a zeal would maybe look down on that. But for a young child of 5 or 6 years old with their grandfather or grandmother,
oh yeah, there are fisherwomen out there for sure.
Yeah. My grandmother was not, but Granddad would take me out, and he wasn't really a fisherman, but he exposed me to that activity, and it's something that I've carried on throughout my life. I noticed that he never went fishing by himself, and when I got to be older, he never fished again. I think he only did it to expose me to that activity, and that started something that I've enjoyed for my lifetime. So, again,
there's a history there. There's a fabulous memory there for you. There's a history there. That's something that you just said you pass along. So that's worth all the tea in China, so to speak, to have those kind of engagements. How old were you then when he used to take you?
About 6 or 7.
And I'm sure you were very impressed.
Very impressed. Oh, he had a tackle box full of all kinds of shiny little lures that he never used. We only used worms and a bobber and a hook. But he had the tackle box for me to refer to. So
he's educating you at the same time.
Yeah. And for seniors, I've been around the world long enough to see folks get older, and a lot of folks think that they don't have anything to contribute anymore. My body's slowing down, it doesn't do what it used to do. But it's simply not true. You can still make a difference by sharing that activity with somebody else. If without his participation in that sport, I may not have ever become a fisherman.
Even thought about it.
Yeah, I may have been an indoor kid. And as a result, both of my grandparents, my grandmother was big on bird feeders, and she always had bird feeders out, and so we would look at the birds, and we had binoculars, and that led me to this outdoors life where I grew up. I played in the creeks and I played in the woods because of those small things they did that didn't require any talent. They just
did them naturally,
opened the door.
They just showed you. Do you think that's what inspired you in the long run to have this long employment with parks and
definitely
and pursue that as a career?
Oh yeah. I have no doubt about that. My mother was a single mom trying to raise 3 kids, and my grandparents usually took care of us in the summertime to help her while she was at work. And my grandparents had a little garden. They would have me out helping in the garden. Granddad would take me fishing occasionally. They had a little creek, so I would make my own fishing pole and try to catch the minnows.
I love it.
So just showing me the opportunities outdoors. They had a little pop-up camper that I never saw them take anywhere, but they would pop it up for us, let us go pretend like we were camping.
But they used it. They
used it in the earlier days. They took it across the country. Camping's something that a lot of folks when they retire, that's what they dream of doing. Let's retire and go to camping. But they didn't do that with me, but they showed me how to camp. And I've spent the rest of my life outside. And then when I discovered that there were jobs where you could do this for a living and be outside and help people, then that was the natural choice for me.
That's a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing that experience with us, because it makes me think, and it reminds me of the invaluable knowledge that seniors have. And you're absolutely right. There are occasions where they feel like, well, my time is done. I don't need to be involved in this, that, or the other anymore. And no, they're needed even more to share and pass down their experience and knowledge to younger folks who haven't a clue sometimes, or mainly. And I won't criticize, because I have played a few video games myself. But get your face from here to there is what you really want to get out of life.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the older generation helping contribute to the younger generation, because all of the parents are working. I mean, so we need those folks to help instill those values in the up and coming generation.
I agree. And in the time that I've lived here, because West Virginia is my adopted state, coming from, excuse me, not such a huge city, but a big size city, My mom had a garden around our apartment because we were on the first floor, and she tended it very carefully, and I used to watch her and I would help her sometimes. But I was amazed at what I brought forward with that when I moved here. Now, I'm not really great at identifying a zillion different plants, and I admit that I do cheat sometimes and use the app on my phone.
Oh yeah,
To identify
technology.
things.
Use technology. Yes.
But it is, there's a lot out there to see and do. And I'm going to brag on myself a little bit here in terms of having you as a guest from DNR. I have participated in one. I plan on doing some others. But the Becoming an Outdoor Woman program, which was amazing. And I got to do so many things that I ordinarily would not be able to do in a larger urban setting.
I thought about mentioning that. You brought something up earlier. And I don't have a lot of experience in how it works, but I do know that that has really changed the lives of folks that participated in that. And you may be probably a better testimony than I would be.
Oh, well, I can tell you,
Yeah.
it's a great weekend.
It empowers people
Yes.
to try something that they maybe would
Right.
have never experienced.
Right.
And then you think,
A big
"Well, I can do
confidence
this."
builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big confidence builder. I like taking long walks. I don't always have the confidence to remember or think about, well, which direction was this? But I can read a compass and I can read a map. I've always, my uncle actually taught me as a kid to be able to do that and do it well. So I don't think I'll get lost. At least I hope not. Knock on wood. But there's 4 different sections that you can participate in. You can choose whatever you want, and that's everything from field dressing a deer, which I didn't do, but maybe I'll do it one day, to gun handling and safety, archery, as I mentioned, stream ecology, which was really fascinating to me because of all of our estuaries and lakes and rivers and creeks. I wanted to know, well, what lives there and how can we take care of that well? So it was a great weekend.
Yeah, anybody can go into a stream and pick up a little rock and see what bugs are crawling on
I
the
know,
bottom side of it.
and there are plenty of them.
There are plenty of
There's
them.
lots of life down there. Amazing, amazing. What else would you like to share?
Well, I think I should mention, we touched on hunting and fishing briefly. In the DNR, I mean, hunting and fishing is a large part of our wildlife section. They're responsible for managing the game and fish in the state. And for seniors that are over the age of 65, it's worth mentioning, if you turn 65 before 2012, all you need is your driver's license. That works as your hunting or fishing license.
So you don't need a license,
Right.
just your driver's license.
If you turn 65 before 2012.
Okay.
So if you turn 65 after 2012, and there are more and more of those as the years go by, there's just a one-time lifetime senior hunting or fishing license that you can purchase for $25.
That's great.
And then you just have that and carry that with you. So for a $25 investment, you have the opportunity to change lives by taking some of these young folks out to the streams and into the woods. And just as I keep repeating, developing this outdoor adventure kind of sense for young folks, for the next generation. And it doesn't have to be, I talked about fishing with Granddad, but for myself, when I took my kids hunting, my daughter wanted to be an avid hunter. When it came to dressing a deer, I think she changed her mind a little bit.
I can understand that.
But my son, when he was young, he thought he wanted to go out and hunt, but he was a very tiny guy. So we took his little toy BB gun and we hunted in the woods, it was a father and a son.
Yes.
Could easily be a grandfather, grandmother, and grandson or granddaughter sitting in the woods against a tree. You bring sandwich, you bring something to drink, and you bring something to entertain them for the quiet times.
Right.
And he had a blast. We didn't kill anything. He actually ended up taking a nap in the woods, but he remembers
That's
that.
wonderful.
Yeah. To this day, he remembers that, and he did not become a hunter because of that, but he learned to appreciate the outdoors. And there's value in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've touched on a variety of things. I just want to make sure we try not to leave anything out, and I'm sure there are several things that we could still talk about. But as far as accessibility, all of our state parks have accommodations for wheelchairs, walkers, things like that, depending on what you're there for. Is that correct?
Yes, ADA accessibility has been something that we've been working towards improving, and any new construction that happens now, things are ADA accessible, so it just gets better and better as the years go by.
Always good to know.
For folks that have visited a park in the past, if it will be more accessible than it was the last time you were there if anything new has been done. And for accommodations for folks that are looking for a getaway, whether it's a staycation or a week-long vacation, we've got an abundance of accommodations. You can bring your camper, you can stay in a cabin, you can stay in a lodge. So depending on the comfort level that you seek, you can do that. And in parks, the variety of activities that you can do are just really broad.
Endless.
Yeah,
They're
we've
endless.
got 36 parks. It's like 160,000 acres of land, and they're not all the same. When you go to each park, as a district park manager, I realized, and I already knew that, but I got to see how different each area was. Because we don't just set aside areas. They're areas of unique scenic, cultural, historic, archaeological significance, and we provide recreation opportunities at those areas. And they vary depending on the type of park. Some of those have spas, so for folks that want a spa experience, like a Capon and Pipe Stem, Berkeley Springs, you can go and do that. If you want to go horseback riding and you've never done that, we have several parks that have a concession stable, so you can go on a guided horseback tour. If you're a train enthusiast, we happen to own a train.
I didn't know that.
Town, Cass Scenic Railroad State Park.
Okay.
The state manages the town of Cass, which is an old logging town.
Yes.
And we've got those Shea engines, and people come from around the world to come experience that. So, yeah, our state parks are just full of such a wide variety of experiences. Some of the newer things are the dark sky park designations.
Oh, absolutely.
Watoga State Park and Droop Mountain Battlefield and Calvin Price State Forest there.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm so glad you mentioned that as well, because we're so fortunate to be in a state where we can find wide areas without any light pollution, so we can really see the stars and experience our almost heaven on our own.
Yeah, and that's an easy activity to do in the outdoors. You drive to the area and you just step outside.
Get in a chair and sit back and look.
At Watoga, their activities coordinator, they do star parties, so you can go out and
That's wonderful. You have shared so much with me today, with our audience, and I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm getting excited about some thoughts I'm having about going back outdoors myself. So thank you again for being with us, and thank you for watching this episode of The Road Ahead. We wish you an enjoyable summer. Thanks.